Back once again, you already know. Coming back with Hollywood trades. On Ethereum today, we have a rally back to ATH. This was already preordained. Obviously, if you just study the average volume here, this is obviously still a bullish pair. If you look at the macros, what I was looking at, and anybody who was watching and I wanted to do this live so people can see. If anybody wants to look back at what I'm thinking and what I look at, always do the same thing. Once these imbalanced ranges get balanced, you take that and that becomes a balanced price range zone. Those are my favorite entries. Anybody who knows me knows that I have the balanced price range and CRT as my main two analysis tactics. I was, this is a bullish zone right here. This bullish zone right here, which got created in the, I believe, the second week of September, if I'm not mistaken. This zone right here should allow price to come right back to this high. This one will get hit super easily. I want to see what happens here at this high, but this high right here, because you still have a bearish zone here, we can fill a lot of orders here with this bearish zone above these highs. And so this being the previous all-time high for Ethereum, we see we did wick that level. And so that is we can always go super bearish from here, but with that in mind, that's where they're going to want to, if they do want to take profit in the huge money orders, they will want to do it at the maximum profit point. And so that's their maximum profit point right here. And then they're going to want to be safe above this level and above this level. So you'll see a lot of taking profit. If we do build nice bullish arrays coming from the lower time frames like we have here, again, we can go ahead and see that we do have a pretty decent buy side target here. If we were on the weekly, we saw that high right there on the weekly as well. So this is a pretty decent. Um, uh, I wouldn't say this is maximum profit levels, but maximum profit level for me, I believe it would be right here. If huge money, right? They're not worried about taking profit, like they're in profit. So if huge money was trying to get a maximum profit level, it would be here and here. And so all of these, I believe, will act as like this tender and low resistance, as they would call it, just stacked up liquidity levels. Boom, 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 boom. Right? None of these levels got swept. They were just all left here. And that creates, when price does not go back to a level, right? But before it leaves, it creates like a sound a shock wave in the order flow system where those orders are queued not improperly, but there's just a lot of unpaired orders that just got left. I mean, that just happens from whatever, but order flow basics, you're going to look at those levels right there and expect them to be used as, let me just go ahead and mark it this level to this level. We have markups for everything relative equal highs, pretty much highs that have not been swept. And so this was the last level, but between this level, right, and it's important, even though this level swept all of these, it's proximity of levels. So boom, boom, boom is almost algorithmically already there. Some people say it's engineered ahead of time, but I believe it's just the physics of the chart. If we let's look here. If you look at this chart has been carrying the whole, of course, obviously this chart always carries the whole crypto community. And I'll just mark this up while I'm looking at Ethereum because this is a big part of, right, what's going on. And so if I would have said here, this is where I would have said this would have went. If I was right, I already had that there. I haven't marked this chart, and you can see the last market was back in September, right? And so, with that being said, um, pretty much call this. No, I would just say this is an external IFVG, and so pretty much this you know this chart is pretty much always preordained to do this. This is Bitcoin's. Bitcoin is one of the most liquid pairs right now. Uh, yeah, pretty much that is. Order flow wise, Bitcoin is pretty much at the top of the totem pole. And so you'll get crazy things like this. And what I wanted to show you was the sweep of the weekly, right? And this was my last target, right? Boom, right? We swept this high, balanced this price range. Once we printed this candle, right? Cleared this imbalance correction, this imbalance here, and then we want to buy from the middle of this lowest bull candle, lowest bear candle, and then once we get this bullish candle, we already know, right? We already know once we close over this candle should act as support. Right? Once we close over this is the lowest candle in the range, and this is the lowest candle in the range. This candle also should act as support. So between this candle and this candle's imbalance, we should be able to absorb a lot of that, cushion that fall. We have the key level of the previous all-time high. A lot of people will use zones and they'll say this level, that level. They'll start making um, price level um, call outs for support and resistance, but I always find it a lot more accurate for me to use, like, you use it the same way, right? You say these are support levels, these are resistance levels, but you're just using the candle levels. Like, a lot of people do use candle levels, but a lot of people will like say, okay, this high to this low, and then they'll make that whole zone. But if you use actual candle levels, you can actually study the reaction to those candle levels on the lower time frames. Once you bring it over and then bring it into your, if you want to just bring it into a different time frame, you can see certain reactions to those levels. In particular, if you do want to draw zones, you can draw zones. A lot of you guys know I don't like a lot on my chart, so pretty much that's where it's at there. I do call this a power level because this was the final level that did not allow price to close under. There was another level here, but this was the final level of this big bullish imbalance. And I always say, look at the lows of the highest, um, uh, the largest candles. Right, this was the largest candle in the range. Right, in this range to the right, from here to here, this is the largest candle. So all these candles are internal range candles. Right, they're inside the mother range. This is just pretty much basic mechanics, order flow mechanics, because if this is the largest one candle, at its extremities will be the liquidity. And so you have interactions like that at those candles, especially this one as well. This was the largest bearish candle of this drop, right? And then it got closed above, right? So then your shorts will have to be mitigated as you come down. The bots don't have feelings. Like, they just know that their entry got closed over, and that just means what it is. It's like a classical analysis type of deal where, back before they had all these fancy indicators and stuff like that, that's pretty much how they used candles. Oh, we closed over this day's high. That means we're pretty much bullish. Let's go ahead and start piling in long and pairing our orders, especially large, huge orders, at these levels that the liquidity exists at. This is like some old school stuff that has always been a part of the chart. So pretty much you have your, right, exactly, power level again, right? So we changed our target. We knew that was our target because it was, the bullish the lowest low that existed within this range here. So within this range where they want to get out of those orders, this would be the reaction spot, just like this, right? If you take this lowest candle right here, this was the lowest low inside of there. However, inside of its range, right, you existed two lows. This one just so happened to be attached to the highest volume candle in that range, right? And so is this one, or that largest candle. Pretty much after that, you get what you get. And that's what we've been looking at on Bitcoin. That's what we've been kind of looking at on Ethereum, right? Stop hunt, right? I use stop hunt for the highest candle. So this was the highest candle in this range, right? So we didn't wick this low and then go. It actually wicked the largest bullish candle. It was a different interaction classification than this low. This is the highest candle in the range. And so that's why this low is classified as a stop hunt, because it stop hunted the lead candle and it went up two different interactions. That's pretty much it. That's pretty much ain't really much to it. That's pretty much that. What we expect is, it is what it is. If we don't make it past this level, then we'll just start attacking lows, right? We'll balance this imbalance. If we start going bearish, then target 1, target 2, target 3, target 4 right here at the correction of the whole imbalance. I don't have it marked, but there's also another imbalance here. You don't want to be too particular, too literal when thinking about what price will do. But you do want to use those closes, and those are expectations. When you get a close over this candle, this whole candle should become support. You get a close over this candle should become support. That's pretty much how it works. The bar method, a lot of you might have seen. I did put that in the handbook. We are going to be expanding on that through video course, and we will be studying this pretty closely. I don't want to bring anything else into it, but yeah, we're at 12 minutes, 13 minutes right now. That's pretty much it. There ain't much really to add to it. You could break it down to a lower time frame, like I always say, but at the end of the day, you already get the picture. Once you already get the picture from the larger time frame, your lower time frame is only good for studying the sweeps and studying what's happening at the lower time frame candle ranges, and that's pretty much that. I told my man, if we close over this level, right? I told him to mark this level, and I told him if we close over this level, which is the bearish order block, if we close over the low of that level, it's going to use that level as a support level, right? It's going to use this high and this low as a support level. And there you went. That was it. So y'all have a good night. We will continue to track this. I've been really busy, so just been doing stuff in the Discord. Y'all definitely make sure you join the Discord. Buenas noches.